Hey guys, this is your host Thomas Tyree here from On the Hot Podcast. Today, I have some bonus content for you guys. The bonus content I will be covering today will be in the sport of boxing. In today's bonus segment, I'll be sharing my fight prediction for tomorrow night's fight taking place in the sport of boxing between Keyshawn Davis and Nahir Albright. So this fight will be taking place at the super lightweight division tomorrow night in the sport of boxing at 140 pounds. Well, I'll be sharing my thoughts on Keyshawn Davis returning back to the sport of boxing. So these are the following storylines I have heading into this fight between Keyshawn Davis and Nahir Albright. Can Keyshawn Davis pick up a hometown victory against Nahir Albright? Now, this is a big showcase for Keyshawn Davis in his hometown of Norfolk, Virginia. And it's a big fight for him because it's a lot of history between himself and Nahir Albright. Now, if you guys remember, these two respective fighters fought each other nearly 3 years ago in 2023. They fought each other, and when they fought each other, Keyshawn Davis won that fight by majority decision, having two judges back him up to get the victory, and one judge had the fight go into a draw. And I actually look back at this fight today. It was actually more competitive than what I actually remember 2 to 3 years ago. So Keyshawn Davis won the first fight between himself and Nahir Albright, but if you guys remember, the fight was actually overturned due to the fact that Keyshawn Davis tested positive for marijuana. So that fight actually got labeled as a no contest, and that's why the win or loss doesn't show up on either fighter's record. But I think the rematch this time around between Keyshawn Davis and Nahir Albright will definitely be as competitive as the first fight, even more competitive possibly for Nahir Albright to play the spoiler, have a spoiler alert, and possibly cause a huge dramatic upset at the super lightweight division tomorrow night. And next storyline is, can Nahir Albright continue to put the super lightweight division on notice in the sport of boxing? Now, I think Nahir Albright, I want to call him right now a B- C+ fighter right now. I think he's actually a pretty good fighter. Not over the hump to make me call him a B+ or a better fighter just yet in his boxing career, but I do think he's a pretty good fighter. And he's not a household name at this division, but he is a pretty good scrappy fighter. And he defeated, if you guys remember last year, around this time last year, where he actually fought in Norfolk, Virginia. He fought another Davis brother, and he defeated Kelvin Davis last year. Nahir Albright defeated Calvin Davis last year in Norfolk, Virginia. And that's how this beef and this animosity really built up between Keyshawn Davis and Nahir Albright, because the beef went on when Nahir Albright defeated Calvin Davis, and then all of the three Davis brothers jumped Nahir Albright in the locker room as he was celebrating one of the biggest victories of his boxing career. He couldn't even enjoy the victory. So if you look at Nahir Albright's latest performance up to date a few months ago, where he fought Frank Martin on the undercard of the Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios fight, all three judges were actually in favor of a unanimous decision victory. So, or a unanimous decision draw, unanimous decision draw. So he's coming into somewhat momentum, because if it wasn't for that 9th round, the 10th round, that's really what saved him from losing that fight against Frank Martin. But we'll see how these two respective fighters match up against each other tomorrow night in the sport of boxing. Let's get to the tail of the tape here. Nahir Albright is 17-2-1 in his boxing career. 7 victories come away of knockout. Stands at 5'8" with a reach of 70 inches. Then looking at Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis is 14-0. 10 victories come away of knockout. Stands at 5'9" with a 70-inch reach. So we'll see how this plays out tomorrow in the sport of boxing. They've already shared 10 rounds in the ring with each other. We'll see if the height possibly plays a factor, the small factor for Keyshawn Davis, who's just an inch taller than Nahir Albright, when these two respective fighters fight each other. So these are the following game plans that I have for these fighters to follow, starting off with Nahir Albright. I think Nahir Albright has to be alert defensively. Being alert defensively is going to be the key ingredient for him to possibly win this fight against Keyshawn Davis. He's got to avoid the big shots that Keyshawn Davis is going to be looking to land on him when these two respective fighters share the ring with each other. And he's got to be alert defensively to avoid the power shots that Keyshawn Davis possibly will land on him. I was looking back at this Frank Martin fight earlier today, guys. I think Nahir Albright took a lot of unnecessary punishment when he fought Frank Martin a few months ago. And at times, he can be a little careless in the inside, which I think he should do, and I'll get to that. But at times, if you're going to be in the inside, you got to know when to retreat. You got to know when to put your hands up, fight in the high guard, protect yourself at all times. And sometimes I think Nahir Albright can take unnecessary risk. So I think it's very important for him to be alert defensively and avoid the big shots as much as possible that Keyshawn Davis is going to be looking to land on him. Next, Nahir Albright has to get dirty in the inside. I think that's very important. And I think if he's going to fight in the inside, make it a phone booth fight, not only would that be entertaining for us, but I think the fight could be entertaining if he could find a way to land the left hook, which I think is one of Nahir Albright's best shots to land when he's in the boxing ring. Land the left hook and mix in some uppercuts to catch Keyshawn Davis off balance in the boxing ring. If you're getting hit with a certain amount of shots that your opponent doesn't like, their feet aren't going to be balanced, and that could open the door for several opportunities for Nahir Albright to make this fight very interesting. So I think fighting in the inside, making a phone booth fight, landing the left hook, and mixing in the uppercuts on the inside could swing the fight in his favor, swing the momentum of the fight in his favor tomorrow night in the sport of boxing. And last but not least, he's got to use the awkward style to his advantage. Look, there's a lot of awkward fighters in the sport of boxing today. Like, I can name Rolly Romero. I can name a lot of awkward fighters right now in the sport. But there's something with Nahir Albright's style that makes him very tricky. I don't know how, it's like this twitchy type of style. I don't know how to describe it. He's very awkward in that ring if you guys have actually watched his fights. But that awkward style gives a lot of his opponents problems. Like, he attacks well with that awkward style and mixes in the counter punches to swing the fight in his momentum. So just be unpredictable and win the counter punching battle against Keyshawn Davis to possibly pull off one of the biggest upsets in boxing in the calendar year 2026. As for Keyshawn Davis has to cut the ring off. It's very important for Keyshawn Davis to cut the ring off. You can see he's getting a little better at cutting the ring off against his opponents. And that's when he's in control of the fight, when he's cutting the ring off against his opponents and putting the pressure on his opponents to box off the back foot. That's where Keyshawn Davis feels comfortable. He's fighting coming forward, being the aggressor. And he did that well when Keyshawn Davis and Nahir Albright shared the ring with each other back in 2023, controlled the pace of the fight, even though Nahir Albright stole some rounds from him in that close competitive fight. Next, Keyshawn Davis has to win the counter-punching battle. Winning the counter-punching battle is going to be very important for Keyshawn Davis in this fight. I think he is the overall faster fighter with better boxing fundamentals and boxing skills. I think the eye test shows that between these two respective fighters, but that doesn't mean anything because anything can happen in a boxing ring. But he does have the advantage being faster, better boxing skills, better boxing fundamentals. He can lead with the jab, mix in the 1-2 combinations, and that overhand right is one of Keyshawn Davis's best punches in the boxing ring. So I think that's going to be very important for Keyshawn Davis as the fight goes on. And last but not least, attack the body and the inside. I think attacking the body and the inside is very important for Keyshawn Davis. And he is very aggressive in the inside and very dangerous when he keeps the fight in the inside. And the body shots, when he lands those body shots, he knows how to stop his opponents. Because actually, his last two fights, he's won by way of knockout, getting body shot, knockout shots in on his opponents. Look at Dennis. I don't want to butcher his last name, but Dennis from Ukraine. When they fought each other on Valentine's Day last year, where he won the WBO lightweight championship. It was a body shot that stopped Dennis in the fourth round. Yeah, the fourth round of that fight. And you look at his latest opponent, the latest fight that Keyshawn Davis had against Jermaine Ortiz when he was in the co-main event of that Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez card. He stopped Jermaine Ortiz in the 12th round with a significant body shot to be the first person to knock out both of those respective fighters. So I think targeting the body, soften up the midsection, landing some power shots could be a key ingredient for Keyshawn Davis to get the win. But with that being said, I'm going to go with Keyshawn Davis to defeat Nahir Albright by decision tomorrow night in the sport of boxing. Now, I like the decision for sports bettors out there because Keyshawn Davis might not be 100% for this fight. I don't know if his legs are going to be underneath him. He had some brutal weight cuts. Look, I saw the images where he was taking a bath in chicken broth, and it took him twice to weigh in at 140 pounds. He made weight, so the fight's on. But I think going with the decision is better than banking on him getting a knockout, because his legs might not be underneath him. He might not be 100% for the fight. But I believe that Nahir Albright will win a few rounds against Keyshawn Davis. I think he can catch him, steal a few rounds from him. But I think overall, Keyshawn Davis is going to win. He's going to be the aggressor, walk down Nahir Albright, and cut the ring off against him. So I think Keyshawn Davis, clearly he passes the eye test of being the better boxer. He's faster, stronger, better boxing fundamentals, boxing skills. He's going to land the counter punches at will, win the counter punching battle, land the 1-2 combinations. And I think Keyshawn Davis will be dangerous in the inside. And landing the body shots in the inside is going to be very important for him to possibly get the knockout victory if he gets it. Because if you look at his last 2 fights, he scored 2 knockout victories with body shots. Look at his fight Valentine's Day in 2025 when he knocked out Dennis, I don't want to butcher his last name, the Ukraine fighter, when he won his first world title, winning the WBO lightweight title, and then scored a knockout victory with a body shot on the undercard of the Shakur Stevenson Teofimo Lopez card, knocking out Jermaine Ortiz with a body shot. So I would like a decision. I believe he will win by decision, but a knockout's not impossible. But give me Keyshawn Davis to defeat Nahir Albright tomorrow night in the sport of boxing. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off. And I'll see you guys on next week's episode.